What's going on, guys? A little bit of a different video today. This is just more of a personal video, like facts about me. So if this is something that you are excited for, this is something that you want to watch, continue watching. If this is not what you want to watch, you don't care about me, you just care about the soccer, like, you know, drills, then maybe go watch a different video. But either way, hit the thumbs up button. Okay, so fact number one is that I absolutely hated soccer from ages like 5 through 7. I wanted to quit. I was a basketball player, I wanted to play basketball, I wanted to play in the NBA, that was my goal, and I just saw soccer as like a distraction from it. And at like 5, 6, 7 years old when I was playing for just my elementary recreational team, this one coach, I forgot her name, but she basically saw some potential in me, and she went up to my dad and said, I think that he could become, you know, a really good player, maybe play varsity in high school, but he needs to stick with it and he needs to continue to train, etc. And my dad was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And even though I said that I wanted to quit and I wanted just to play basketball, my parents pretty much just forced me to continue playing. And thank God that they did, because this has turned into my entire life now. Number two is that me and my brother used to play this game called Goalie Wars when we were growing up, from like ages 10 until 16. We played in our living room. It was about a 10-foot space, and we just made 2 goals, about 1 foot by 1 foot on each side. And it was just, we were gonna play 1v1. And it got super competitive all the time. Stuff was broken. We broke a mirror, a window, the banister. We broke a ton of stuff. No matter what age we were, when we played, etc., it always ended in a fight. Me and my brother were always so competitive that one of us would storm off and the other one would be mad, and we wouldn't talk for about an hour, and then the next day we would just play Goalie Wars again. And we did this for months or even years on end. Fact number 3, I'm 25% Mexican, 25% Hungarian, and I do not have a clue what the other 50% of me is. Fact number 4, I've been cut by more soccer teams than I've made. Throughout my whole life, like from 11 and pretty much since I started playing club soccer until all the way through now with professional soccer, I've been cut by team after team after team. And it's just funny because a lot of people will see where I'm at now and assume that I haven't been cut or it's just been all success. But in reality, I've been cut by more teams than I've made. Number 5, as a kid, I was huge into making movies. If you can tell by my YouTube channel, I love filmmaking, and I always have. Me and my closest neighbor would go and film. We had this old camcorder and we'd go outside and we'd film movies, like full feature-length, hour-long movies. And we'd spend our entire summer like making the script, filming, going out and editing, doing all this stuff, and we just absolutely loved it. And it's just funny about how directly like soccer and filmmaking correlates later on in my life, and this is what I do now, which is just pretty cool. Find your passion and then pursue it. Number 6, it took me 3 months to do my first around the world, the juggling freestyle move. I remember being 12 years old and it was like June, and for some reason I saw this on a YouTube video when YouTube was like kind of just starting out. I saw this on a YouTube video and I thought this move was the coolest thing ever. And I was a terrible juggler, but I went in my garage and I just practiced. I just started juggling back and forth, and then trying to do the move. And it was so frustrating because I just messed up again and again and again. But then I, started different techniques of bouncing and all this stuff. And 3 months later, I finally had done my very first around the world. And so many people tell me like, they watch a YouTube video on how to do the around the world, or they watch a YouTube video on how to hit a long ball, and they'll come up to me and go, Matt, I've been trying for the last couple days and I can't do it. And it's like, yeah, of course it's not gonna take a couple days. It took me 3 months to do my first around the world. You're not gonna be able to watch something and immediately do it. It's gonna take a ton of practice. Fact number 7, I'm a huge space nerd. If I wasn't playing soccer or making YouTube videos or movies or whatever, I would be doing something with NASA. That would be my goal. I would be, ultimately I'd want to be an astronaut or something, because I'm obsessed with planets and space and just all this stuff, to the point of it being like a nerdy obsession. But I love that. That's a big thing like a lot of people don't know, but I'm a huge nerd. Number 8, I didn't know what the World Cup was until I was 12 or 13, and the 2006 World Cup was happening at that moment. I remember I was in middle school and I was playing club soccer. I played club soccer for a couple of years, but even at that moment, basketball was still my passion, and it was like at that time almost equal, but I still had invested more time and energy watching basketball than soccer. I was just about to make that transition into soccer, and I remember one of my friends on my team was like, I can't wait for this 2006 World Cup. And me being the dumb American, that I was like, what's the World Cup? and he made fun of me because I guess he was from Europe, he had some parents from Europe and all that stuff, and he was super into soccer, knew all the facts and all that stuff, and he just belittled me because I had no idea what the World Cup was. But then after that, I remember doing some research online, I watched some games, and that was really kind of like the catalyst for me to really start developing this love for soccer. I really started finding favorite players and watching that, and I think that was a big moment of just that 2006 World Cup was when I switched on and soccer started becoming my favorite sport over basketball. Number 9, I was a very big artist when I was a kid and still am, but I did art classes, I took art school, I was super into making paintings and drawings. I love drawing basketball players, slam dunking it, or superheroes. I was just super into drawing, and I think that kind of like artistic talent kind of translates into my videos a little bit. But yeah, I was a huge artist. Number 10, I have an obsessive personality to the point where it's almost at fault. As a kid, I'd find one thing and I would spend like a year or two just completely engulfed in it. For example, I went through art phases, I went through dog phases. I love dogs, and I would do all this research on all these different types of dogs, or I was super into dinosaurs at one point. And it literally, I find this topic and it just consumes my entire everything about me. And for this last year, lately, it's been YouTube and Become Elite. I started this idea, I had this idea, and I just became obsessed with it. And I just went with it. And I think that obsession with soccer or working out or doing, finding the different things that I'm obsessed about is the reason why I become successful in them. Because all I can do, all I can think about is how to improve it, how to get better, how to take it to the next level. Honestly, I think my parents have done a really, really good job of pushing that obsessive personality into good outlets and not into like drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. Number 11, I broke my nose my junior year of college because I was trying to like photobomb a picture, and I ran and I jumped off a couch and I hit my face square into a beam. And I just broke my nose, I landed on the ground, blood started gushing out, rushed to the ER, and that was the day before the preseason to my junior year. So for the entire season, I had to wear one of those masks. Number 12, Kevin Love from the Cleveland Cavaliers. I played against him in high school, or I tried to play against him because he was just a beast back then, and still is. Number 13, when I was 13, and this is just after I discovered the World Cup, I really started to find Ronaldinho, and I was obsessed with him. I loved how he moved with the ball, I loved his creativeness, I just loved who he was. So I started watching all these YouTube highlight videos about him, I started researching about him, I got obsessed with him. And I think that was really kind of like that creativity that he had and how just good of a player he was again another catalyst to why I started falling in love with soccer so much. Number 14, when I was little, before I could even go to the gym from 10 to 12 years old, I used to make workout programs in my living room. And I would get super creative. I would take like a laundry basket and I would put heavy books in there, and then I would sit down and put the laundry basket over me and almost like bench the heavy laundry basket. I would find random stuff and I would do like sit-ups hanging off from the couch, or I would do pull-ups on like the banister or the holding of the door. Just really crazy stuff. But I made up these programs. I wrote it on a piece of paper in my bad handwriting and pencil. I would pin it up to the wall, and then I would do it, and I would actually stick to it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I would record how many pull-ups I could do or how many push-ups I could do because I was like obsessed with it. Number 15, I'm scared of horses. I'm not like deathly afraid of them, but I just get uncomfortable when they're around me just because they're so powerful and they can just like kick you and kill you. They just scare me. Number 16, I've always had a very, very weak shot or long ball or clearance. That was always my biggest fault as a player, and I would have these coaches make fun of me to like no end as when we do shooting drills because I'd take a shot from the 18 and I couldn't get it to the goal in the air. That was how bad my shot was. But what I did is I went extra on my own with my dad, and we just worked on long balls and shots over and over. I think we did 10,000 shots, and that is what really helped me start to develop a better clearance and a better long ball. Was just all those hours of training. Number 17, I was voted most congenial in high school. And when I honestly didn't know what that word meant, and I had to use a dictionary to look it up. Number 17, my favorite car is a Jeep Wrangler. Not a supercar, Ferrari, anything. I would take a Jeep Wrangler over any other car. Number 19, when I was in college, one of my weaknesses compared to the other players at that level and at the next level was the passing and the first touch. And so I made it a goal of myself. I made it a distinct goal to say I'm gonna do 100,000 juggles and 10,000 wall passes in 3 months. And I wrote that down and I made a little grid on the wall. And then every single day I would go out and do wall passes against this little wall right on the grass. And then I would do my 1,000 juggles and I'd come back home and I'd write that number up there. And every single day I just kept on writing the number. And I would keep on adding it up and trying to get this number of 100,000 juggles and 10,000 passes. And 3 months later, I finished it. And finishing that 100,000 juggles and 10,000 wall passes was instrumental in how much it improved me and how much it improved my touch and passing to move on to the next level. Fact number 20, I have a very weird quirk where I have to finish something before I move on to the next. So if it's food and I have my meal of chicken, rice, and veggies, I have to finish my veggies, all of my veggies first, and then I eat my full chicken breast, and then I finish with the rice. I can't go and mix and go a little bit of veggies and then some rice and then some chicken or whatever. I have to finish one thing before I move on to the next. Even with my shoes. I wear a pair of shoes until they completely break, until I get another pair. So even right now, these are the shoes I'm talking about, but I still wear these, and I'll wear them until they completely tear off, and then I'll start getting a new pair of shoes. So that's the video. That's 20 fun facts that you might not know about me. Let me know if you guys like this type of video or if you just hated it in the comment section below. But either way, like I said before, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. All right, peace later.
Hey!
I can fly.
Big shout out to Mimi for holding the camera up for 20 minutes. Look at those shoulders.
It's so heavy.